Alright, hi everyone, Turner Burner here with a video for you guys. I'm going to go over some of the skill cards for Horde and Escape for Clayton. I know this character very well because I played with him a lot of Operation 3 and a lot of Operation 4. He's not max because I've been playing with Foz a lot, but he has a lot of high level cards, so let's get into it. So Clayton is one of those characters where it depends on the map. He has probably, if I were to look at it, as far as relevant cards, pretty much every single one of his cards are relevant, except Soul Survivor, ironically, which was a good card before they fixed it. Unless you're playing by yourself, is it? Yeah. Unless you're clutching a situation at the end of the game on Escape or on a wave of Horde, this card is probably the least, or at least one of the least relevant ones. I mean, I'm sure there are a few others if I look hard enough, but he has a ton of relevant cards, so I'll try to make this video as concise as possible, but I do want to go into, semi-detail for these cards, so let's get into it. So typically what I run for Clayton is Bait Armor, Reflective Shredder, Ultimate Battery, which is probably my favorite card, Concussive Explosive, which used to be my favorite card until they kind of nerfed it, and Heavy Shell. Concussive Explosives has been altered, so what people used to do in Horde, and this could be why it's been altered, they used to kind of stun the Swarmak from, like, I don't know, 100 meters away or whatever the distance is. And that would basically completely neutralize the Swarmak and make him a non-factor. So because of that, at least that's my guess, they nerfed it to where it's only stunning enemies that are a lot closer. So but by then it could be too late. So this card's not as good as it used to be, but I still have it on for some reason, or not for some reason. I still have it on because I do like the extra flashes, per se, of having, if I have, 10 Torque Bow and 3 Boom Shot, I basically have 13 flashes. And, Keegan can only carry 7 flashes. So highly, highly useful to you still use this card. It's just not as good as it was. But again, let's get into it. So Reflective Shredder, reflective hits, do 55% bleeding damage. So with Clayton's ultimate, unless you have a short ultimate modifier, Clayton's ultimate Clayton's ultimate lasts about 6 seconds, roughly. So he is immortal for 6 seconds, and not only is he immortal, if he's on low health, he regenerates all of his health. So he'll say, "Come on, shoot me like you mean it," and then the damage the enemies wanted to do to him will be done to them. So it's a very, very useful card to get out of, dicey situations. It also is good for early waves of Horde when don't have any or lockers aren't put up and things of that nature. So because he gets his ultimate, depending on the speed of the wave, he'll get his ultimate every wave and a half, roughly. It's roughly every 2 minutes. So because of that, this will help your team survive those early waves of Horde. So this is good for Horde or Escape to bleed out enemies that are shooting at you. And any of these characters that don't need a lot of weapons to be effective, i.e. Clayton and his ultimate, that's very, very useful because that allows other characters that do need ammo to get those, take care of themselves in that way. So Reflective Shredder is a good card. It's almost mandatory unless you're doing a score run. But Ultimate Battery, I made a video exclusively about this card. There was another video a long time ago that showed, ironically, Clayton's niece Lizzie, showed her getting downed a bunch of times and then using her ultimate shortly after that, which, you know, getting down shortened her shortened her ultimate recharge, because it allowed her her passive, and I'm pretty sure this is still her passive. The damage you take charges her ultimate. That actually used to be Clayton's as well, but they changed it. So she keeps getting down, her ultimate continues to recharge. So I think this card is better than her passive, because it allows two allies to get their ultimates a lot faster. And depending on the weapon, something I've discovered, depending on the weapon that hits Clayton, will decide how fast the ultimate will charge. As an example, on the barracks, what we did for our score run, so we could charge Marcus's ultimate and Foz's ultimate, which was very, very effective. Just look, this little tweak, this card saved us 10 minutes on one map. And that was just before the safe room. Because it allowed two characters to get their ultimates. What we were doing is we let hammer-burst drones and snipers just keep hitting Clayton, and we were right next to him, and we just kept reviving him. So as we were reviving him, our ultimates were slowly, you know, getting charged up. But what I noticed is when there was at the time it was two snipers and one more drone that was hiding, a sniper hit Clayton and downed him, and my ultimate charged a lot because of that sniper hit. So what I'm trying to say is it will, I don't know if it's supposed to be this way, but I believe relative to that short sample size, it'll depend on what hits Clayton. The damage of that weapon will determine how much of a charge you'll get every time it gets down. If that makes sense. On a per bullet basis, a sniper rifle's has way more damage output than, you know, a hammer burst bullet, as an example. So ultimate battery, I think this card's mandatory, honestly, to help your teammates get their ultimates. You know, if you have a Kate on your team, help your Kate cloak more often. You know, this card's a game changer if you use it right. Bait armor, it's not, I believe it's his only health card. I gotta double check as we go through this video. But 10% damage resistance per hit taken, up to 60%. I like this card a lot on Venom Run. And a few other short-term maps. The End is another good one. But it's not as good as, you know, some other health cards and other characters, but I use it. I do notice the difference, but it's not substantial. I still get, you know, downed by stuff or whatever, but yeah, it's a good damage resistance card, I would say. And it also stacks well with Ultimate Battery, because it allows you to take more hits before going down officially. And you know, Ultimate Battery is on a per hit basis. So concussive explosives, like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite cards. It's not as good as, you know, this card is, Ultimate Battery, but concussive explosives allows you to have a lot of flashes. So 3-second stun on enemies with explosives within 15 meters. Basically on, if it's escape, because in Horde he spawns with a torque bow, and if you have a key, you know, if you have a Keegan on your team, you can get the boom shot if you want, you know, whatever. But you can do a lot of stunning for your teammates and allowing your teammates to meat shield that stunned enemy. So I think this is a highly effective card in my estimation. This, you know, because it can neutralize if you're getting overrun in any situation. You can stun, you know, a DR1 or Scion, Swarmac, whatever, and that will give your team time to make adjustments if they need to. And then most likely it won't be your last bullet, so you can just stun them again. So you just keep stunning them over and over again. In the previous operation, it used to stack. So if you shot like 4 boom shots, the character would just keep getting stunned. I don't know if it still does that. Haven't used Clayton in a couple weeks, but or I haven't really paid attention that thoroughly. But it used to stack, so just notice in your gameplay if you need to literally wait to the enemy's unstun to restun, or if you can just spam it, and that way you have like multiple, maybe 20 seconds straight of a stunned enemy. That could be very, very useful. So yeah, concussive explosive. Heavy shell stacks well with reflective shredder because it allows you to reflect salvo scion, buzzkill scion, mulcher scion, not cryo, and I'm pretty sure not boom either. So it's just the projectile ones. So salvo scion's very, very useful because it's that scion does so much damage. If it hits you once, you're down. So yeah, if you can reflect that back to him, it's gonna die for sure. Card I haven't used, but I see it more of as a horde value because he spawns with the torque bow. It deals 20% bleeding damage. It's if I were to guess, it may go up to 40% at level 6. I don't really know. But this card is, I guess it depends on what characters you already have on your team. If you have JD, for instance, you're already going to have 20 torque bow shots that are going to bleed anyway. So, but I guess if Clayton has more bleed than JD, then it may be, yeah, he actually would. So, yeah, so I guess this gives, if you have a level 6 Clayton, I'm going to guess 40%. Let's see, 20, yeah, I'm going to guess 40%. So that would actually be higher than JD, so that would give you reason to use Clayton. That would actually be higher than Keegan as well. So, if there's a map with torque bow, let's see, you got the line. There's another map, in your future, later in operation that has torque bow. I'm trying to think of what else has torque bow. The barracks after the safe room has torque bow. So yeah, this could be useful. And torque bow also comes with its own, stun flinch power. So that'll be good if you're running serrated edge, and then concussive explosive. You can get bleeding and stun. So yeah, that'd be a good card. Just depends on how you're playing. If you want to, get rid of bait armor, that's okay. But yeah, Clayton's cards overall, it'll be a tough decision because you only get 5, and he has, I want to say, legit 10 relevant cards. So, but yeah, torque bow is a good card. I would definitely use. Epic score boost. Really wish this was already maxed out, but it's not. Speaks for itself though. Mulcher mastery. I had a friend who really, really likes this card in Horde. He uses this card instead of concussive explosives, and yeah, you really, really notice the difference. Because in Horde now you can buy any weapon at a moment's notice in the fabricator. You don't have, like, Keegan doesn't have to wait for salvo, in the bots wave as an example. So Clayton can just buy a mulcher or wait till mulcher scion dies. It just depends on the person if they want to save money or not. But based off of the increments, it may get all the way up to 100% extra damage. So Mulcher Mastery would be good, and he really, really likes his card. I don't know if his is level 1 or whatever. But yeah, this is one of his newer cards. That's why it's only level 1 for me. So here's another one. Reflective Shell reduces damage to by 95% to allies for 6 seconds. I haven't used this card since they fixed Clayton's ultimate charge. In Venom Run, I used to use this card because he would get his ult every minute. So that's twice in Venom Run, maybe even 3 times. I haven't done Venom Run in a while. Because of the fact that you're taking so much, if you're not, old school Lonnie, as an example, you're taking a lot of damage from, overkill and a lot of stopping power. So Clayton could just pop his ultimate, and you take way less damage, you know, at least on 2 critical instances in that map. So yeah, very, very, very useful. At least it was. This is probably one that's not as useful as you would think. Also because Reflective Shell is only 6. It's only about 6 to 8 seconds or so. Yeah, I'm trying to think. But yeah, because of the fact that, see, Cole has a card that is like when his ult is ready. I think this card could be improved if it's like when Clayton's ult is ready, you get less damage taken to you, because, you know, on regular maps besides Venom Run, taking less damage for such a short period of time, it's almost, I don't know, his ult's just not long enough. So, but, you know, I guess for that small segment it is useful. So, grace period, 4.5 seconds, immunity on revival. For one, this card works, so that's good. Yeah, I couldn't speak for like if I would use it often or whatnot. Not a bad card, just it's not better than the others. You know, not being able to get downed when you get revived. Things happen so fast on Master, you'll probably get down almost as soon as that grace period is over. So it's okay. But you know, he has better cards. But you can try this card if you want to see if you like it more than others. Heavy ammo capacity is a new card I really, really, really like because he can get, I don't know what he gets at level 6, but he can get more salvo shots. I'm trying to think what else. I believe cryo counts as well. I think cryo would count, which is, you know, very, very useful if you have a lot of cryo on a particular map. The choke it has a good bit of cryo before the safe room if you play the right spawn. But yeah, I like this card a lot. What's another one? Malfunction is a one that has a good bit of salvo, so you can get more salvo shots. But yeah, this is a good card. I like it. Again, depends on how you play. I can't say what you would take out. It just depends. It literally depends on how you play. But I would say the first 2 that you could sacrifice compared to what I have is bait armor and concussive explosives. Lost my spot. Okay, heavy charger, heavy hits reduce ultimate cooldown and multiples of 0.015 seconds. If you have something that detailed or that specific as 0.015 seconds, you know, it's a red flag. But I've used this card. I haven't even now. Clayton's ult charges so fast. I don't notice enough to use this card. You could try it, see if it works better for you. But what is it? Maybe in Horde this works better. Actually, yeah, it would work better in Horde, because if Clayton has a locker of mulchers as an example, and he just shoots mulchers and keeps rotating all the time, he may get his ult every 30 seconds, depending on the Clayton. So this is a Horde card is what I would say, just, you know, quickly thinking of that. Not an escape card at all, though, because you don't have lockers and you're going to run out of ammo anyway. Heavy deflect, 30% heavy weapon resistance for Clayton and nearby allies. You can use this card if you want to. This is something I said should be with team resist. Like, oh, when his ult is ready, you know, he has more resistance to damage. But heavy deflect is its own card. It's okay, but it's not critical, and it's not super relevant on a master level. Soul Survivor is good if you're doing solo runs, or if you're typically on teams that leave you in a position where you're the only one remaining. But if you do solo runs, you'll get your ult every minute, maybe less, maybe 45 seconds. I feel like it may have been as low as 45 seconds. So if you're getting your ult every 45 seconds, there's a lot of maps you can clutch by yourself. But yeah, so So yeah, this is a good card. It was way better when it worked all the time, but you know that's not what they wanted for the card, and to make Clayton probably too strong of a character. Blast Shield haven't really used a ton, but just by reading it, 32% explosive resistance for Clayton nearby allies. Blast Shield and Heavy Deflect probably would stack together to make your teammates have a higher health or damage resistance, whatever. So you could try those two cards together, but again, I don't know what you would give up for them, because I think Reflective Shredder, Heavy Shell, and Ultimate Battery, I'd keep those three on. But if you were going to get rid of any Ultimate Battery, Beta Armor, and Concussive Explosives, those three you can give up for other ones. But Heavy Shell and Reflective Shredder, those two allow you to reflect, the big guys like Moltres Scions and Salvo Scions. So Salvo Scions isn't in Horde, but it's still useful in Horde as well for Buzzkill or Mulcher. Let's see. So Blast Shield. Okay, so Cryo Cannon freezes 200% faster. Again, same friend said he likes this card a lot. Could be very, very useful in Card.Horde.Escape, because you can freeze, I don't know, anything really in Escape, but specifically in Horde, you can freeze the flyers. You can freeze, Guardians faster, Kestrels faster. So card has high value. And then Cryo Scions. Okay, I'm trying to think. I feel like they come all the time in terms of 10-wave segments. I don't think it's restricted to bots or leeches or anything like that. But I do know they come with the bots wave, Cryo Scions. They come with DR1s and stuff like that. So, you pick up a cryo and you can freeze enemies way faster. 200%. That's good. That's a good speed. Freeze resist, 95% reduction in freezing speed. Enemies trying to freeze Clayton. I tried this mainly on the line, and I was so disappointed that I never tried this card again. So, the line has two ways you can get frozen: Moltres Scions and Cryo Scions. So, regardless, if for Moltres Scion, since they freeze so quickly, I wanted to see if there was a critical difference, but again, 95% reduction on a master level, I think it would have to be like 5% reduction to be like critically, for you to have to use this card, because I didn't notice a ton. Excuse me, I didn't notice it being that much slower, really. So yeah, I was pretty disappointed with this card overall. Grub Magnet headshots taunt enemies for 7 seconds. Have never seen a taunt card work ever, so I don't use this card. I think Lizzie has a taunt card, and I think Mac has a taunt card. And because I have no idea what it means, I thought I did, but then when I saw it not do anything, now I don't. So, headshots taunt enemies for 7 seconds. It says it forces it to attack you for 7 seconds, which would help your teammates, attack them. But I don't notice anything really. I don't notice any difference. I don't notice any attacking. Let me know if you have experience with this card. Phoenix Armor, 30% stem on a revive from down, but when a teammate revives you from down but not out, you receive 30% stem. They've changed this card. It used to be you would have stem on respawn or something whack. This is a lot better. When you're not dead but you're down, you get stem. So yeah, that would help you not get immediately downed again. That's a good card. Again, he has so many good cards. It's hard to figure out like, okay, this is definitely where I'm going to go. You just got to try them all, I guess, and see what you like the best. or just keep alternating stacks so you're getting an experience with all of them. So practice every day, 30% faster reload and bypass reload during ultimate. His ultimate's too short for this card to even matter, so don't use this card. So yeah, no reason to use that card at all. Because his ultimate, again, it's just way too short. A longer ultimate would be Lonnie's is long. Marcus's is going to be the longest because of the cards that stack together with it. But yeah, he has too short of an ultimate for this to matter. Max is reasonably long, and he has cards to make it longer if he wanted to. But yeah, I don't like this card at all. I think it's pointless. Score boost is self-explanatory. And last card, Uncle Clay, 30% damage resistance for Clayton and Lizzie when near each other. Lizzie may have something else in reverse. I don't know. I gotta look at Lizzie. I haven't looked at her in a while, but I mean, if you want to use those cards, it's fine. Maybe if it's a husband and wife situation, you're playing Clayton and she's playing Lizzie or something like that. Maybe use this card just for fun. I don't know. I don't use it. I don't see it's not. I don't think it's that great of a card. And it's good, but it's not better than others. I mean, as far as relevant cards go, Reflective Shredder is good, Ultimate Battery, Bait Armor, Concussive Explosive, Mulcher Mastery, Serrated Edge, Heavy Shell, Team Resist is relevant. This is okay. This is great. Heavy Capacity. But yeah, I feel like the top portion has a lot of the relevant cards. The bottom portion has good cards, but they're not as great. I think the Cryo Cannon gets overlooked, but it really shouldn't be, because it would stack well with Heavy Capacity if you have, more chances to freeze enemies. That could be very, very useful depending on the game, the Horde or Escape game in your end. So, but yeah, this is Clayton. This is my take on Clayton right now. Extremely good character, one of the better ones, and definitely a good Operation 3 addition. I know a lot of people were using him, and leveled him up a lot easier because of the fact that he got his ultimate so often. But even though he doesn't get his ultimate as often, it's still, I want to say, him and Mac get his ultimate recharge the two fastest in the game right now. I think at about every 2 minutes. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for Clayton. What I use, again, Bait Armor, Reflective Shredder, Ultimate Battery, Concussive Explosive, and Heavy Shell. But do not forget that he has Serrated Edge, Mulcher Mastery, Heavy Charger is probably more good for Horde, Heavy Capacity is good for Horde or Escape, Team Resist, Heavy Deflect, Flash Freeze. These are all also good cards as well. The other ones I didn't mention, not so much. Soul Survivor, if you're going to go do solo runs, you got to use this card. So, but other than that, that's pretty much it, guys. Stay tuned for the next video, and let me know what you think of Clayton and what stack you use in your matches. Have a good one. Oh, before I go, he has a new passive that I didn't touch on in another video, my longer video. His passive is heal for 50% of heavy weapon damage dealt. His passive used to be the damage you take charges your ultimate, but this is probably not as good in my opinion, but it is useful if you use heavy weapons, Horde or Escape, because you'll see this gold glow around you, and you're actually have some sort of healing from the damage you do, similar to Lonnie. So that's useful. It's almost like a health card in a way. So that's a good passive. But yeah, now I'm finished. Pretty much it, guys. Stay tuned for the next video. Let me know what you think of Clayton for Operation 4, and if you like the changes, or if you like what he was in Operation 3. Thanks, guys, and thanks